Hello viewers, it's another Wednesday morning and time to keep you abreast with events around the world and newspaper headlines. As expected, at times like this, reactions from the fuel and electricity price hikes dominate the headlines. From Atiku's rejoinder to Buhari's meeting with Trump. All the newspapers we have today lead with the same headlines. But it won't be all politics. We shall spice your day with other stories that have equally made headlines. And of course, some encouraging spiritual nuggets. So sit back, relax, as we serve you exciting stories on our menu this morning. I am Phoebe Agimahu, and you are welcome. Right away, we should go to the People's Daily, which is one of the 8 papers we have with us. Our first story, and it leads with, why Nigerians won't survive fuel, electricity price hikes. And that's coming from PPPRA. On page 5. The picture now. Governor Amadu Fitiri Mido, during the inspection of abandoned state-owned fertilizer blending plant at Damara community of Adamawa on Tuesday, and with him are other state government officials. Below the picture on page 3, Murik 6 Special Court for Corruption Cases, once rapist castrated. The bottom strip story is now on pages 19, 2 and 6. The stories above the lead one. Page 4. Manual exchange of court processes to be phased out soon. And that is coming from CJN. That is all People's Daily have for us this morning. Now let's look at the front page of Blueprint newspaper. Again, I'll start with the leading story. Fuel price, electricity tariff hike. And it says, federal government kickstarts food deregulation, insists on market forces. And the kickers, Nigerians still ask for policy reversal. Police warn against planned protest in Borno. Page 6. Let's look at the picture now. Members of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, in collaboration with labor unions, during a protest over the recent hike in petroleum prices, electricity bills, and others in your state on Tuesday. And below that is Constitution Review. Senate gets 50 memoranda, Group 6, 12 provinces. That's on page 15. On page 21, National Directorate of Employment fully in charge, ready for 774,000 jobs, kick off October 1. That's coming from the DG. While on page 5, troops intercept vehicle conveying militia head Ghana to Benue. Edo refinery begins production September. Targets 60,000 BPD. That's on page 8. And on page 5, I told Trump. Failed leaders behind headers, farmers crashes. Buhari is giving us highlights of his meeting with President Donald Trump on page 5. Federal government, states, local government in 6 months. And lastly, on page 14, Ebonyi takes over 100-year-old Presbyterian hospital. And that is all from the Blueprint newspaper. The Daily Times for you now. The lead story. More fuel pains, silence. Here we have the timeline of fuel price hike from 1999 to 2020. Under Obasanjo, June 1st, 2000, 20 naira to 30 naira per litre. June 8, 2000, I beg your pardon, still under Obasanjo, 30 naira to 22 naira. January 1, 2002, 22 naira to 26 naira. June 2003, 26 naira to 42 naira. May 29, 2004, 42 naira to 50 naira. August 25, 2004, 50 naira to 65 naira. And May 27, 2007, 65 naira to 75 naira. Under Yaradua, June 2007, 65 naira. Under Jonathan, January 1st, 2012, 141 naira. January 17th, 2012, 97 naira. And in February 2015, 87 naira. And now under Buhari, May 2016, 145 naira. And in September 2020, 151 naira. Okay. Amount spent on subsidy in 13 years, 10.143 trillion naira. And the average, 743 billion naira annually. Another writer is saying what 10.413 trillion naira infrastructure can do for Nigeria. Number one, 360 advanced cancer treatment centers in each federal constituents at 4 billion naira each. Secondly, 37 world-class universities in each state. 1 kilometer road at 774 local government areas. Boreholes in each ward. Standard power plants in the 6 geopolitical zones. And lastly, a standard international airport at 3.8 trillion naira. Below that, now on economy, how credit to corporate sector increased in second quarter 2020. That's on page 29. Attacks on journalists. 41 attacks on journalists recorded in Nigeria within 8 months. Page 4. And on insurance between farmers and agricultural insurance. The details of that story is on page 30. And finally is the editorial of the Daily Times above the masthead. Wrong way to review 1999 Constitution. The information is on page 3. And that is all for the Daily Times. New Telegraph now for you. But this time around, I'll start with the story above the masthead. PPPRA hands up monthly fixing of petrol price. And the kickers? Marketers to determine product rate. Job losses, transfers loom at agencies. Students protest for electricity tariff hike. The story begins on the front page and continues on page 6. And now below the masthead. CBN to NESG, that is the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. We embark on extraordinary measures to stabilize economy, page 3. ExxonMobil more sack of 10% workforce on page 6. While on page 4, parents, friends, barred from attending call to bar September 15th. PDP to federal government, Nigerians can't afford new fuel price electricity tariff. And now to the lead story. Buhari. What I told Trump on killing of Nigerian Christians. Orders ministers to defend government achievements. The president is still talking. Nigerians must criticize me fairly. But this time around, Osinbajo is talking, and he says NDAs to act fast on 2.3 trillion naira ESP projects. Page 3. Now I quote President Buhari. I have charged all of you to defend the government vigorously and not allow any responsible and politically motivated statements to keep spreading falsehoods about this government. There you have the picture of Vice President and President during the day 2 of the first-year Ministerial Performance Review Retreat at the State House in Abuja yesterday. And below that, resident doctors strike, patients discharge, teaching hospitals deserted, consultants, nurses take over duties. No going back, say doctors. Page 28. And before we observe the short break, page 10. DNA testing can predict throat cancer. And there you have New Telegraph for you this morning. Business Day newspapers. Please stay tuned. We shall be back.
Every person who is charged with a criminal offense is entitled to defend himself in person or by a legal practitioner of his own choice.
Remember that an individual is entitled to remain silent.
Every citizen in Nigeria is entitled to maintain a private life.
You are approaching a military checkpoint or a police checkpoint without knowing that it is against or it offends them and subject you to a frog jump. That is wrong.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the newspaper headlines live from the ACNN studios in Abuja. For more on our catch-up programs, please visit our social media platforms all showing on the screen. And do well to download the VM Africa app or Prime TV or WeTV Africa on any app store to watch us on the go. ACNN TV is now available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV and Android TV. Alright, as promised, we have the leadership newspaper now. And let's look at the front page. The lead story is on Constitution amendments. CSOs push for devolution of more powers to states. One state to legislate on aviation, banking, mining, prisons, and others. Senate panel receives 50 memoranda. 183 women associations demand extension of submission deadline. You can get all the details on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. Again, we saw this picture earlier on the New Telegraph newspaper. But on page 7, Buhari says, what I told Trump about alleged killing of Christians. Federal government begins disbursement of 2.3 trillion naira stimulus package to build 300,000 homes and create 755,000 jobs. The story begins on the front page and continues on page 7. On page 2, military kills dreaded Benue militia leader. Benue militia leader, Ghana. Ghana. Bottom strip stories now, pages 10, 14, 2 and 3. Manual exchange of court processes will be phased out soon, CJN. Let's focus on what unites us, Bogoro urges Northerners. Edo poll, APC, PDP at war over allegations of gun running. Is on page 4. And lastly, on page 23, FAAC disburses 3.9 trillion naira in first half of 2020. And that is all from the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Up next is the Nigerian Tribune. And I'll start with the stories above the masthead. Pages 29 and 2. Fear over Edo, Ondo polls. Plot to compromise due process uncovered. INEC commissioners jostle for reappointment. Politicians infiltrate commission. Smart card reader to be used, ZPAD, being perfected by INEC. Christians massacre allegation. Buhari, what I told Trump, says First Republic leaders most responsible ever. Poverty, economic distortions deepening daily. Osibajo laments. And now below the masthead, call to bar. Body of bench only on page 2. Kebbi flood threatens 60% domestic rice production, and that's on page 27. Again on page 2, Lagos approves 33% increment for state pensioners. And the lead story, as usual, petrol, electricity pricing. Students, groups protest. PDP tells Buhari Nigerians can't survive hike. PPPRA hands off fixing price band. Blames exchange rate for petrol price hike. If we truly deregulated, then fuel prices should have dropped. Atiku is making a point. Buhari has managed economy well, says APC governors. Pages 3 and 6. Again, we saw this picture earlier on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Beside the picture, while we are boycotting peace summit, Southern Kaduna Christian leaders explains on page 27. While on page 29, Constitution Review, Middle Belt Congress seeks additional 19 states, abolition of local councils. Senate committee receives 50 memoranda. And lastly, on page 7, which happens to be the bottom strip story, matters of urgent public attention. CBN replies the Nigerian Economic Summit group. And that is all from the Nigerian Tribune. Let's cross over now to this day newspaper. Okay, what does this day have to say? Okay. It says PPPRA goes full blast. Dumps petrol price fixing. That's below the masthead on page 10. And the kicker, organized private sector backs federal government on electricity subsidy removal. Fuel should be cheaper, Atiku insists. The lead story now. Buhari directs full release of 2.3 trillion naira to fund economic sustainability plan. insists he has done his best, urges elites for fair assessment. Narrates experience with Trump on alleged killing of Christians. The story begins on the front page and continues on page 9. Again, the picture of Vice President and President during the ministerial retreat in Abuja yesterday. Constitution review, Senate gets 48 memos from Afenifere, others on page 5. And lastly, the stories above the masthead. CBN rebukes NESG, says interventions aimed at stabilizing economy. Insists amended Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act confers no immunity on CBN governor, but protects federal government like other laws. The story begins on the front page and continues on page 9. NEITI, which is the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, FAC disbursed 3.8 billion naira to federal government and others in 6 months. Page 8. And that happens to be the last story from this day newspaper. We cross over to Business Day. Yes, Business Day newspaper, of course, has this picture. President of Niger Republic and former chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, handing over to his successor, President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana in Niger Republic yesterday. President Akufo-Addo will be the chairman of ECOWAS. Congratulations, sir. The lead story. Why electricity meter access project fail in Nigeria? The story begins on the front page and continues on page 31. All right. Beside the picture to my right, COVID-19. India's case upslope shows why Nigeria must tread cautiously. Hasty lockdown relaxation, patchy test and trace, ineffective safety blamed. The story begins on the front page and continues on page 31. On page 30, Lagos Century Group, IOSH, canvas for healthy environment. And finally on page 24, I am humbled to be named first black Canadian Minister of Justice and Solicitor General. That is all from the Business Day newspaper. And so, that's all we have this morning. We want to thank you plentifully for watching. Now recall, the development of every nation, including Nigeria, is in the hands of its citizens. And the Holy Scripture says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Remain blessed and do have for yourselves a lovely day. Introducing a new way to watch ACNN 24 hours on your mobile device. Download the VM Africa app for Android from Google Play Store.